Hello, and welcome to the Investor Guys Podcast, the ultimate podcast for serious real estate investors in the know. Join your host, Bill Barnett and Kevin Mills, as they share their expert insights, strategies, and tips to help you succeed in the world of real estate investing. Get ready to level up your investment game with the Investor Guys Podcast. And now, here are your hosts, Bill Barnett and Kevin Mills.
Hey, Bill, how's it going?
It's good, Kev. Hey, welcome to another of the Investor Guys podcast. Good to see you, brother. You have a good weekend?
Podcast. I'm Kevin Mills, and this, of course, is Bill Barnett. I'm doing awesome, and I know you are too, because we were just talking a couple seconds ago. Today, if it's okay, I wanted to talk about Dallas, the opportunities in Dallas, strategies in Dallas, why Dallas is a good place to invest. Dallas is a place that, as you know, I've been to often and invested in myself, but it is your backyard. You are part of the Dallas Metroplex, being in Fort Worth yourself. So I'm going to let you take the lead on this. Go ahead and start off real quick and let me know.
Okay, great. The first thing is, for those of you around the country and for Kev Dog here, it is the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. So if you're in real estate, there's just as many opportunities in Fort Worth as there is in Dallas. And then you've got the north area, and we have a lot of things in Fort Worth that are growing west and south. So the Metroplex is expanding greatly, and it is an incredible place to be in the real estate market. If you're not local, for me, then I want you to make sure that you jump over to realtor.org, hit the research tabs, and start looking at the quarterly statistics for sales, for foreclosures, for percentage of listing price, for the number of transactions that actually get closed. So when you do that, you'll see that the Metroplex, and they'll give you a Dallas-Fort Worth number, but you can also get a Fort Worth number, a Dallas number, Plano, Frisco, Richardson, Farmers Branch. You can get real deep, and when you start to do that, you'll start to understand the market a lot more. One of the things that Kevin and I both try to do on a regular basis is update you on what the actual market looks like and why the market looks that way and what's going on in the market. The fact that the real estate market turns should never be a surprise to you. If you understand the underlying telltale signs to look for, then you don't ever have to worry about being caught off guard by the market. By the time the media starts telling you what the real estate market is doing, it's been done a long time ago. But if you know what to look for, then you can invest in any part of the country with confidence, because you know what makes that market go, or you know, hey, I don't want to be in that market right now, because I know what's missing in that market. And for Texas and the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, the number one thing that you want to know about and look for is this. Jobs. If you got jobs, this is the real estate market. Wherever you go, this is a number that you need to know. You need to be able to go to, you can look at several government sites, you can look at employment, you can look at census.gov, you can look at several things from the federal government that give you statistical numbers for a specific market on jobs and job growth. We've been number one for the last 10 plus years. I've had a couple of people, and a couple of times people reached out and said, oh, hey, y'all have been passed, you're number two. And I'm like, really, who? South Dakota. Like, yeah, we got more people in Fort Worth than South Dakota has in the entire state. So when it moves a percentage, not very much movement. We got 28.5 million people here in Texas. When we are growing like crazy, it's a real number. And that's the thing that you need to know. You need to be looking at your markets and understanding the job market. And you can even look at that as you get used to looking at these numbers. You can drill down into segments of your marketplace, because segments will have a different employment rate. But you want to know, what's my employment rate for the area? You know, are there more jobs available in this area that I'm investing in than there are people to fill those jobs. That's always a great sign, and that's always going to be a market where real estate is strong. When the market collapsed in 07, 08, there were still pockets around the country where the market was on fire, and it stayed that way. Now, here's what went on. You had 5 major markets.
Dallas and the rest of Texas were some of those markets.
Yeah,
they barely.
We were hit very softly compared to the rest of the nation. But you basically had 5 markets. You had Miami, you had LA, you had Vegas, you had Detroit, and Orlando. Phoenix, Orlando, not Miami. So you had Orlando, Phoenix, Vegas, Detroit, and whoever else I'm forgetting. But there were 5 markets that the majority of the national statistics on the crash of the real estate market happened in those 5 markets. So you look at other markets around the country and you find out that, wow, there are parts of the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex that are still on fire. That were there parts that we had prices go down? You bet. Everybody did everywhere, but you still had pockets. And if you understand how to look, then it tells you, hey, here's where I can go. So the number one thing that and Kevin and I were talking about this earlier, the number one thing that I think you always want to evaluate when you're going into a market is understanding the job market, because you want to know why the market is reacting the way that it is. You want to make sure that when you're looking at a market being hot, what's driving that market to be hot? And the likelihood is that's what's driving that market to be hot. And so if you know where jobs are going, you can also show up prior to. So I'll give you a great example. When my dad was still alive, Mercedes-Benz decided to put its first plant in the U.S. They put a plant in a little community called Vance, Alabama. Vance is right outside Tuscaloosa, where the University of Alabama is. And Vance is an intersection. I mean, it literally, they put in this, it's still an amazing facility. And it's, I don't know, been there 20 years, I guess. And they have a museum. And if you find yourself over there, it's worth going to. It's impressive. So my dad calls me once the announcement was made. And he says, how do we benefit from this? I'm not looking to go to work at Mercedes, but how can we benefit for this? And I said, well, Dad, when they're doing this, they announced, I want to say it was about 3,500 employees. Many of those people, because of their culture, their corporate culture, were being shipped in from Germany and other parts of Europe. And so there's going to be a big bump in the number of residents in Tuscaloosa County. I said, look, go look at the location where it is. Then start to look at, is land available adjacent to that? Where are the subdivisions? Where are the developments close to that? What are the price ranges in those developments? Because there's going to be people that come in that are going to have entry-level jobs. There are going to be a lot of management people. Most of the management came in from outside. So they're going to come in. They're going to look at higher-priced housing. And so you want to look at, can we get in and either build if the market is underserved, or can we go in and buy some foreclosures or just property that needs to be rehabbed and fix them up and get them ready to go? I said, so here's your assignment. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Boom, boom. Go do this. Did he? No. But I'm telling you, if you understand where the jobs are going, there's a play that happens when you have a big employer coming in. One of the reasons right now that jobs are so incredible in the state of Texas is we have so many major corporations, most of them coming from California and New York, who have said, we're fed up with taxation. We're fed up with the crazy politics. We're going someplace that has no corporate tax. We have no state corporate tax. We have no state income tax.
And those are jobs. Those are jobs that are moving into Texas.
You bet.
Even before that, Dallas has more Fortune 500 companies, more headquarters for more Fortune 500 companies than any other city in America. We're going to talk more about that in 1 second when we come back from this break.
Awaken your potential and harness the strengths of your inner self. Online courses that you complete at your own pace. Set and achieve all of your goals. Packed with an ever-growing catalog of information, resources, learning programs, weekly recorded coaching sessions, podcast, posts and more to keep you on track. For your best life. Because the only person who can guarantee your success is you. www.reallykevin.com.
You are watching the Investor Guys podcast.
The Investor Guys podcast will be back shortly.
Absolution X. Lifestyle apparel like no other. Only at absolutionx.com. Get yours.
Live the resort lifestyle every day with Cayman K. The perfect pieces for every wardrobe. Shop the entire Cayman K collection and find your favorites. Find all our styles at caymank.com.
And we're back, and we were just talking before the break about jobs and how jobs drive a market, not just real estate, any market at all. The economy, the local economy, and the local economy, as we know, drives the real estate market, and the real estate market drives the economy. And Bill was just talking about before the break about how essential jobs are for driving the economy in Dallas, in the Dallas Metroplex area, which is Fort Worth, Dallas, Arlington, and it literally has grown north almost all the way to the Oklahoma border, and it has grown south almost all the way to Bracknell. So Dallas is growing south towards Austin, and Austin is growing north towards Dallas. So you got a little pocket right there by Bracknell, or not Bracknell, where Schlitterbahn is. I forget what it's called, but a little pocket, you know. New Braunfels, that's it. So New Braunfels is pretty much like a little pocket right there where everything is not grown together yet, but it will eventually happen. It is a metroplex, a giant area. And another thing too, before I let Bill get back into it, is we're talking about the quality of jobs also. When you have corporate offices for Fortune 500 businesses, you have, and this has been my focus in the Dallas area. I like, as you know, and everybody else who watches this show knows, I like buy and hold, okay? The corporate rental market, especially on the north side of Dallas, and I've got lots of properties in Frisco, Richardson, Plano, even all the way up into Denny. The corporate rental market is strong. I can get rents almost as much as on average in California for properties in that northern part of Dallas in gated communities, and I can buy houses for less than $500,000 there that rent for $3,000 to $5,000, which is cash flow. So I'm gonna let you get back into it, Bill, because you are the local resident hero.
Hero. Oh, I like that. So you guys remember that. Kevin said that. And he's an authority. I'm telling you right now. He's
I'll call him a hero.
The jobs market, and I'll give you a great example right now of how you follow this thing. So with all the craziness that has been going on in California, I'm going to mute for 1 second here.
No worries. I do that too, even though I turned all of them off. I still am doing.
Sorry, I have a German Shepherd in heat, and she is not liking being in her kennel right now. So if you looked at, this isn't a political statement. This is just a statement about the real estate world. So one of the major employers in California, Tesla, has said, you know what, we're done. We're going to find a new home. We know that because of contacts I have, that Fort Worth is pretty high up on that list. One, Texas is the primary state for relocation for them. That's the number one place they want to go. And again, it's because of the tax structure and tax incentives that our leadership provides companies to come in, because they know the impact it's going to have on everything else when you have a strong job market. So they are looking at the possibility of coming in. And one of the things that was a requirement for Tesla, and I'm not saying that they're here, but I am telling you that I know we're high up on the list. One of the things that was a primary concern for them was they had to be near a major airport, and we're not talking about DFW. What we're talking about is in North Fort Worth is the Alliance Airport. And the Alliance Airport is an industrial airport. It was built for commercial non-passenger traffic. So it's out by the Speedway. If you've ever been to a NASCAR race out here at Fort Worth or at Texas Motor Speedway, it's out on the far north end of Fort Worth. But the Ross Perot, many, many years ago, bought a massive amount of land out there. And people just thought, dude, you've lost it. And of course, when you've got the money to be able to sit on land, and you know an area is going to grow, sooner or later that value is going to go up, and it could go up substantially. Well, that's what happened. But the next big round of, gee, you guys have lost it, was Ross's son kind of took over the development of that land, and he announced he was putting in Alliance Airport, this major airport, but again, for commercial industrial traffic only, non-passenger traffic. And the media around here went nuts. They were, oh gosh, what an absolute folly. You guys are going to lose $1 billion, I bet, on this. Blah, 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 because the media knows so much, right? And so what's happened, Alliance Airport has been an incredibly huge success. JCPenney is here because of that, specifically because of the airport. So you've got a lot of major things that have happened and are continuing to happen because you have this industrial support system. And that's, obviously there's a lot of non-passenger planes that go into DFW, but here's a great, big, huge, wonderful facility that's just for cargo and commercial, industrial.
Yeah. Another thing to keep in mind is the Dallas Metroplex is on the I-35 corridor, which connects Mexico to Canada all the way up through the United States. It is also about six hours north of I-10, where I-10 crosses I-35, and it's about 3 hours south of where I-40 crosses I-35 up in Oklahoma City. So in terms of being a shipping contractor, being a truck driver essentially, okay, being 3 hours away from being on a major artery that's going to take you all the way to the East Coast or all the way to the West Coast, through either I-40 or I-10, that's significant. And again, I-35 directly connects Mexico to Canada. So you've got a good positioning when you are in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. It's not exactly a crossroads, but it's pretty good. So
it's very centrally located. One of the things that there are a lot of motivational speakers that live in the Metroplex, and one of the reasons that they do is because they're about 2.5 hours to anywhere. You can get to New York City in 3 hours from here. You can get to Seattle in about 3 hours from here. So you get to LA in 2.5. And so that's, it's a very centrally located when you're looking at air traffic and being able to get just about anywhere in the country in 3 hours or less, and in most cases, direct flights. So it's a huge plus, but all of that has had this impact on the job market. So if I know what the growth is in the job market, and I'm paying attention to the markets that I invest in, so that I understand when there's a major development for a new industry. So a few years ago, we had a Toyota, I think, could have been Honda, but we had a plant go down in the San Antonio area.
It was actually Toyota and Nissan, both on the east and the west.
So when all that came out, there was a ton of news about that. Well, if I was in the San Antonio investing in that area, it's not a market that I invest in. But if it was, I would be paying attention to local news there, and then I would have very quickly learned, hey, they got this coming in. Where's it coming in? How do we take advantage of growth and price appreciation that is going to happen because these two manufacturers are coming in. And that's just keeping up with the jobs. And again, I think Toni and I would stress to you greatly, for me, the absolute number one thing I want to look at in a market where I know if I want to play on a long-term basis there, it's one of the reasons that I love Vegas so much. When you go back to prior to 2007, 2008, when the Vegas real estate market was exploding, I used to get into it with people, especially speakers, all the time, because they were telling people, hey, go to Vegas, go to Vegas, go to Vegas. And I was telling them, look, the only people you're going to sell to when you go to Vegas is another investor. So you may get lucky and you may get a nice pop because you sold it to another investor, but this is financial musical chairs. It's going to run out because the job market is not growing. And so even though you had some new hotels going in, that's a small percentage of employment compared to the Vegas area. So once the crash hit, Vegas did something that was just brilliant. They strategically went out and said, how do we expand our local economy away from gaming? We know gaming is going to be number one. They're going to stay number one. But how can we go out and grow some other areas of industry so that the next time this happens, we're not hit nearly as hard as we've been, right? Because Vegas is one of those cities that just got hit big time hard.
Yes, they got hammered for sure.
One of the things that they did was they decided that they looked at the convention industry. You know, Vegas is the number one convention city in America and one of the top in the world, but certainly in America, number one. And so they looked at what industries were coming and have been coming for a long time. We're going to continue to come. And one of those was the furniture industry. Well, the furniture industry, sorry about that.
Don't worry, I think you're the last person on earth with a landline.
So, and when I had that put in for fax emergency stuff, it didn't even come on the phone. They were like, well, it's really just a relay. I'm like, okay, got it. So what Las Vegas did was they went after the furniture industry and they went to North Carolina and basically attacked those companies like an assault. You're going to come to Vegas. We're going to make it so incredibly worthwhile that you can't not come. And they did. They basically took the furniture industry. They did the same thing. Vegas is the home of the largest jewelry retail center in the world. And when you drive around, you see it's a spirally looking build. It's kind of wild looking, not on the strip or anything. But same kind of thing. They said, you know, here's a lot of business that goes on here from a convention standpoint anyway. Let's see if we can attract some of the major players. And they've been able to do that and restructure their local economy so that when the shutdown happened, that they've just finished wrapping up and getting casinos back open. And everything I've seen, Kevin, I don't know if you've seen any reports, but everything I've seen was it was a huge success. And they reopened. They got people everywhere, and they're doing social distancing and, you know, all the insanity stuff. They bought in all out, but all of that stuff is people are there. They showed up, and that's what Vegas wanted to make sure they saw. And I wanted to see that. I wanted to see that because the entertainment side of the economy, so Las Vegas, movie theaters, sporting events, those are greatly important. I know NASCAR has been running for 3 or 4 weeks now and running in empty tracks, which
and they're doing UFC fights also, and I think they're going to start doing baseballs as well. But it's the same thing. We're talking about jobs, and it's not just the industry that is brought there. For example, he's talking about the furniture industry in Las Vegas. We are seeing a huge migration out of red states into blue states. We're
Vice
seeing
versa. Out of blue states into red states.
What's that?
Say that backwards.
Oh, sorry.
Out of blue states into red
Out
states.
of blue states into red states. So we're seeing lots and lots of people moving out of California into Texas, the Dallas area, into Las Vegas, into Phoenix, into Florida, where I am. We're seeing these people coming in from New York. We're seeing them coming in from New Jersey, from Illinois. Those people are bringing their jobs also. A lot of these are business owners who have already a vacation home in one of these places, and they have had it. They're fed up with the tax structure. They're fed up with the government. They're fed up with the politics. So they're literally relocating their businesses to these states, and they're bringing them to major cities like Dallas. And I'm going to get more into Dallas in just a second. Let's take a really quick break so we can
Take a break, yeah.
You are watching the Investor Guys podcast.
Live the resort lifestyle every day with Cayman K. The perfect pieces for every wardrobe. Shop the entire Cayman K collection and find your favorites. Find all our styles at CaymanK.com.
Absolution X. Lifestyle apparel like no other. Limited editions. Unique, exclusive designs. Seek your absolution. Get yours. Only at absolutionx.com.
Get ready for power, for success, for solutions and answers. It's all in one place, www.reallykevin.com. Education, opportunities, coaching, and so much more.
back, and Bill was on a roll, and I had to cut him off for a second so he could get some bills paid. But Bill, I'm going to let you get back into it. We got a little bit off on Vegas, and the strategies are the same. I mean, absolutely, we've got jobs coming in. Vegas, we've got jobs coming in. The Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. Now, just an interesting note, and you probably know this already. Did you know that San Antonio is actually larger than Dallas, has a larger population?
Wow, did not know that.
It has been for a while, since that's how I knew Toyota and Nissan had both moved in, because I was focusing on San Antonio when Toyota and Nissan were moving in. That was about 15 years ago. So I was buying up like crazy. That is right about the same time that it surpassed Dallas in size. Still, Dallas Metroplex area is huge. It's like almost 5 million people or something.
6.5 million.
6.5 million people. That is a huge area. And lots of opportunities. It's an area where I myself invest. It's an area where I've done courses for 20 years because it is an amazing opportunity. Lots of great opportunities for investment. But I'm going to turn it back over to the local expert.
Don, man, I thought you were going to turn it back over to the hero.
The hero. Well, the local expert is the hero.
So, look, when the Vegas thing came up, specifically to tell you, this is what happened in Houston in the 80s. When the oil crunch hit in the 80s, the Houston market suffered unbelievably bad in the late 80s. I mean, they literally had so many vacant properties that mortgage holders couldn't keep up with them. You were having people move into Houston and move around Houston that did not own a property and did not rent a property, but broke into a house and moved in, and they would be there months at a time. They'd call and get the utilities turned on and be there months at a time before anybody figured it out, because the market had dropped so fast, so hard, but it was all because it was all based on the oil and gas industry. And
Dallas didn't fare very well either. And it was actually
better.
A double whammy for Houston. What a lot of people don't realize is it wasn't just oil. That's also when they downsized and just about all but pulled out the Johnson Space Center.
Yeah. So now what's happened is Houston went through that same thing we talked about with Vegas. When they started rebuilding the economy there, they looked at, can we spread this out and get some other industries in to shore up our local economy? So it's one of the reasons why the Texas economy as a whole is so diverse. It's you'll also find that the 4 major plays in Texas, which is Dallas, Fort Worth, Houston, San Antonio, Austin, those 4 major markets to play in are just doing amazingly well. And the most expensive one is the Austin area because of the University of Texas and it being the capital. So both of those things, when we talk about looking at a market, both of those things create somewhat of a false market that when you have a real estate market that has a major university in it, so you're always going to have a ton of demand for real estate there that's not necessarily job related because of a school. And anytime you have a capital, you're going to have a ton of real estate demand there for the same reason. So, I call it that, personally refer to it as somewhat of a false economy, but it doesn't go away. That's the huge thing. So you can always look at those capital markets and typically have a good, strong market to look at. So if you're looking about Texas, the Dallas-Fort Worth market is, in my opinion, the place to go. It is a little less expensive than Austin, but significantly more opportunity. So we've got anything from average price for the Metroplex as a whole, about $270. So it goes all the way down to where you can buy stuff under $100,000. Not as much as that as you used to be able to, but you can buy stuff around $100,000 fairly easy. Got to hunt a little bit, but fairly easy. And then it goes as high as you want to go. But we like to look at, and I mentioned the price range that we like to play in when we're looking at people that are students like yourself that are interested in real estate, getting started. Maybe you're in the business already. You're not where you want to be size-wise, number of deals-wise. So we look at, take the median price of the market. So in Dallas, 260, 270 are in the Metroplex. And take that and look at 10% either side of that. That's the sweet spot of the market. So when you think about it, if you've ever played golf, if you've ever played baseball, if you ever played tennis, all of those stick and ball sports have whatever you're attacking the ball with has a sweet spot. So you're gonna get the most, you're gonna hit the ball the furthest with a golf club or a tennis racket or a baseball bat if you hit the sweet spot. That's the sweet spot of the real estate market. About 10% either side of median price for where you're looking. That's where the most amount of activity is going to be, property going to be turning over the fastest, and where the most number of people can qualify to buy your property or to rent your property. So, I would love to have you guys. Kev's coming in and doing some stuff here. He and I are doing more in each other's markets. So we'd love to have you guys come down and do some business here. One of the things we haven't talked about, Kevin, is DFW Properties. I have a brokerage firm in the Metroplex that's in the Arlington area, but brokerage in the state of Texas, as it is most any place, if you own a brokerage firm, you can service a real estate transaction anywhere in the state. So we are MLS members in the 4 major markets, and that allows us not only to have that information, but we already have the ability to be able to go in and do represent a buyer or a seller in a transaction anywhere in the state of Texas. It's a little bonus there. I know you're getting set up for Florida for that way, but yeah, a little Texas bonus.
Yes, I've got that already in California, but now that I'm in Florida, getting the broker's license and the real estate license and the contracting license. One of the things I tell students about Texas is Texas as a whole is a great place to invest. And it's not even just the major cities, Houston, Austin, San Antonio, Dallas Metroplex. You've also got smaller cities that are also good, solid investments. My strategy, my favorite has always been the Dallas Metroplex area because I have found that I can buy properties for about the same price in Dallas as I can in Houston. About the same price in Dallas as I can in San Antonio, maybe a tiny bit more in Dallas than San Antonio. A little bit less in Dallas than in Austin. However, my rents are stronger in Dallas than they are in any of those other cities. Rents are a tad higher in the Austin area, but I noticed that my days on market are longer in the Austin market for my vacancy rate, okay? Dallas is a huge, strong rental market, and I would rather have a property that I can get for the same price in Dallas as I can get in Houston. I'd rather have it in Dallas and get a stronger, better rent than in Houston. And Houston, by the way, just gives me a headache. I just don't do anything in Houston, not because I have a problem with Houston, other than gives me a headache because it has no rhyme or reason. It's just concentric circles. You got gas stations sitting next to houses, office buildings. It just gives me a headache. I love Austin. I love San Antonio. And I spend a lot of time in all three of those markets. I actually have myself a house in Frisco that until recently I used to use for myself when I would go to Dallas. I have family in both Austin and Oklahoma City, so that I don't have to go to Oklahoma City and I don't play favoritism to the people in Austin. I would just have everybody meet me in Frisco whenever I was there. This is something that people in California never, ever got. I had a house in Frisco. It was a model home. It is all stone, all brick, okay? It is in a gated community, Stonebriar, I'm sure you're familiar with.
Yeah, absolutely.
Gated community, golf course community, okay? I paid under $500,000 for that house. It is a over 4,000 square foot house in a gated community. You won't ever find that in California at all. You might find a trailer home in a gated trailer community for the same price. Do you know what my HOA fees are there?
$300 a year.
No, $50 a month. Sorry, not a year, $50 a month. Okay.
Okay.
When I lived in Coto de Casa, which people in California will recognize, it's where a lot of movie stars and sports athletes and people, gated community, my HOA was over $500 a month. Okay. That's what some people pay for house payments in Dallas. Okay. So to put things into perspective for investing, live wherever you want to live. That's fine. But invest in markets that make sense. If you're going to get a larger percentage of a return on your investment in markets like Dallas or Vegas or anywhere else, okay, invest in those markets. If you have to live in California or you want to live in California. So I have a lot of friends who are in California, like, Kevin, I'd be in Florida with you if I could, or I'd go to Dallas, or I'd go someplace else, but I have family here, or I have grandchildren here, or I have parents that I have to take care of. My parents are, if you have to be there, you want to be there, I get it. California is a beautiful place if you can deal with politics.
Yeah.
If you want to be in a different market, okay, there's no reason you can't invest in a market that makes more sense. And that is why coming to an event that we do, okay, we only host events, and Bill can back you up on this, on markets that we have experience in. Bill obviously lives in that market, so he has a lot of experience. I've been back and forth to that market, not only for real estate, but also for tax liens and tax deeds. I don't know how many times I've called Bill being there for a tax lien or a tax deed in Tarrant County or Dallas County to see if he wanted to hook up and do something while I was there. He's always off someplace else, but another story for another time. But we will only tell you what we know. We're not going to give you information about markets we're not familiar with, markets that we don't ourselves invest in. So when you come to Dallas, okay, it's not a do as I say situation. It's a do as we do situation. We can give you stories. We can give you actual history. We can tell you what has happened because we've been there for 20 plus years, 20 years for me. Bill's been there even longer, okay? So that is the benefit of coming to these events when we do these events in these various different cities. And again, don't feel like you have to live in that market or near that market. Once you have a formula that works, you can, in this day and age, this information age where you can sit down at the computer. I'm on my computer right now. You can't see it on the camera, but I'm at my computer. When you can sit down at the computer and you can place an order to buy anything, a car, tennis shoes, or a house from your computer, you don't have to be in that market. I know people who are investors who live here, but they invest in Europe. They like investing in Europe. They like the developing European countries that are just joining or just joined the EU. They do it from here in the United States on their computer, a couple of phone calls. So don't let distance be a determining factor for you. Let it be about the numbers. Let it be about the profit. Let it be about your investment.
Yeah, and there's a way to put a team together. We're going to have another show where we talk about how to evaluate a market that you do not live in, to see all the way down to what subdivisions I want to buy in. Now, today we talked about jobs and we talked about the Texas market. And I think if you're serious about real estate investing and you're not investing somewhere in Texas, you may be kidding yourself. And we'll tell you more about, we had an event coming up. We'll tell you about that at the website, investorguyspodcast.com. But make sure you jump over there, subscribe to the show, like the show, share the show. Also, drop us a line. You can reach either one of us, either Kevin at investorguyspodcast.com or Bill at investorguyspodcast.com. Let us know if there's a topic that you want to talk about, and we'll address that. If there's a specific question that you have about real estate, we'll be more than happy to address that. And Kevin Dog, looks like we
I think real quick, just a mental note for the both of us. I think we should do a show on team building, how to build a team in different markets so that they've got something there. And all of our courses, not just Dallas, but anything else that we've got coming up, the best resource is investorguyspodcast.com. Investorguyspodcast.com. Check across the top for different cities. Click on them, see when we're going to be there. Right now, we've got COVID-19, so our class sizes are smaller, but as that changes, that will change as well. But always, they fill up fast. So whenever you see a class open up in the market that you're interested in, go ahead, jump on it as quickly as you can. We'll go ahead and wrap this show up, and we're looking forward to seeing you guys again soon. Bill, as always, great to see you. I'll talk to you soon.
My pleasure, brother. Good to see you.
Have a great
Thank you
week.
for joining us.
And we'll see you guys soon.
Thank you for tuning in to the Investor Guys podcast. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. Don't forget to subscribe and stay updated on the latest trends and insights in the world of real estate investing. Also, don't forget to check us out and see all of our episodes at theinvestorguyspodcast.com. Email us, contact@investorguyspodcast.com. Remember, the key to financial success lies in staying informed and taking action. Stay tuned for our next episode, and until then, happy investing.